This just got announced. The middleweight champion Alex Pereira will fight Israel Adesanya UFC 287 on April 8th. Not only that, but the heavily anticipated Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal is in fact happening. Finally, UFC 287 on April 8th. Also, Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio announced for UFC 287 on April 8th. UFC 287, it's safe to say that it's pretty stacked. I mean, if you look at what it's looking at so far already, if you look UFC 287 to be announced where it's going to be, April 8th, you've already got Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. You've already got Raul Rosas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. Those are two fights that are going to be on the main card. The Karate Hottie Michelle Watterson versus Luana Pinheiro. You've also got guys like Gerald Meerschaert fighting on that card too. So super, super stacked UFC 287 there on April 8th. So many stacked cards being delivered to us early into 2023. You've already got the first quarter of fights that started with 283, ends with 286. Now the second quarter of 2023 is looking good so far. I mean, 287 is already looking more stacked than 283, 284, and maybe even 286. 285 is debatable, but definitely more stacked than the first two. I mean, this card just looks incredible. Obviously, you've got Alex Pereira, who stole the title away from Israel Adesanya at UFC 281 with a fifth round knockout victory. He won the middleweight championship there, ended Israel Adesanya's reign, and bumped Adesanya back down to the number one contender for the first time in many, many years. And Alex Pereira being the new middleweight champion at only 7-1 and defeating a guy like Adesanya who had a long, long title reign. Talks of a rematch were, definitely out there. They were definitely being discussed. And also the probability of Alex Pereira fighting Jamal Hill for the light heavyweight title. But it seems like Jamal Hill will fight either Prohaska or Ankalaev instead. Probably Ankalaev, because he'll probably be ready to fight sooner than Yuri Prohaska, who is out with an injury right now. So this is a super fun fight to make. You've also got Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. Fight that's been talked about for maybe around a year now. Maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. Kind of forgot. But this is a fight that's been talked about for way too long. And the fact that it's finally being made now, it's definitely good. Bilal Muhammad just tweeted out, this can only mean one thing. He just tweeted that out. It looks like Bilal Muhammad will likely be fighting Colby or Hamza. Nothing's announced yet. Nothing's confirmed. Maybe he's not even in talks to fight them. Maybe he's just saying this to, get the crowd hyped up or something. But he just tweeted that out. And yeah, this all got announced like 10 minutes ago. I'm kind of late to make this, Also, Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. Some people are going to sleep on this fight, but Ponzinibbio fought on the 282 main card against Alex Morono. He was losing that fight up to the third round, but then he got a third round knockout. It was a pretty brutal one too. Kevin Holland coming off of a brutal fourth round knockout loss to Stephen Thompson, fight of the year contender. So both of these guys fighting a week apart from each other in December, now fighting each other. Ponzinibbio was obviously formerly ranked, lost his ranking to Michelle Pereira, who's currently number 14. Kevin Holland was ranked previously at middleweight, now trying to find his place in the welterweight rankings and in the welterweight division in general. Try to jump the ship with Stephen Thompson, didn't work his way. Now fighting Santiago Ponzinibbio. If he wins this fight, there is still a good possibility for Kevin Holland to make those welterweight rankings. I think it'll show his skill and it'll show that he can definitely compete with maybe the top 15, Maybe not the top 5, not the top 10, maybe the top 15, because there are a few guys there that he might have a chance at. I think he could have had a chance against Daniel Rodriguez. Now that he's out of the rankings, it's going to be more difficult to get up there because I think Li Jingliang is tougher. So, and for Ponzinibbio, he's been trying to get back to the rankings. So this is that perfect fight to give him that bump up there, that edge, because Alex Morono wasn't going to do it for him. On short notice, it wasn't going to do it for him. So if he beats Kevin Holland, that's a pretty big win there. And if we go back down, Gilbert Burns ranked number 5 right now. Jorge Masvidal ranked number 11th, 12th. Bilal Muhammad is going to be talking his shit because Bilal Muhammad is talked about. Gilbert Burns fighting number 13, who's now number 14. Gilbert Burns goes back to fight, number 11. It's not the best look either. But Jorge Masvidal, I mean, that's no Neil Magny. Jorge Masvidal it's different. Jorge Masvidal, everybody knows. Everybody knows his name. Everybody knows his skill, his power, what he's done in terms of, highlight reels and, bringing a whole new sense of popularity to the sport. His whole hype train was one of the biggest hype trains we've seen in the past, 5 years even. So, yeah, it's definitely a super big fight, this one. It's a fun one also. And this fight, technically being their fourth outing, I think after this fight, if Adesanya loses this one fight, it all comes down to this. If he loses this last fight, that's it. There should be no more. Alex Pereira will just be the better fighter after that if he loses. But if Adesanya wins and Pereira loses, who knows? We'll see. At that point, we'll see. It'll just depend on how the second fight goes. I think at that point, it'll just depend on how the second fight, turns out. So we'll see. We'll definitely see what goes on there. But that is pretty much all the fights that got announced today. Don't want to make this video too long. Just wanted to talk about all these fights. These are such big fights. Super excited for all of them. And yeah, that's just incredible. That's insane.